Today, we're going to be walking you guys through a little bit of an experiment of something we've wanted to play with for quite a while. Today, we're going to be testing out some hydro dipping. We're going to be talking about how we might utilize it as another tool in the toolbox. Plus, we're going to be giving you guys a wear test on if something like this actually holds up. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, So for those of you that don't know, it's actually illegal for them to sell spray paint in any Lowe's, Home Depot stores in the Chicagoland area. So we have to travel to a nearby suburb to go to a different store to buy some spray paint. So we're heading to our nearby Home Depot. I wonder if any of those will work. Alright, so for today's video, we wanted this to be really about just kind of a DIY experiment method. A lot of people have actually asked us if you could utilize spray paint on shoes, and that's something that we never recommend really because of the durability aspect. But we see that a lot of people utilize something like spray paint for hydro dipping. Now, there is a lot of different methods for how you could go about hydro dipping. There is some proper methods with the right films to really do it the right way. But this is kind of the DIY method that anybody could do. So we just went ahead to Home Depot, grabbed some regular spray paint that you could buy anywhere, this Rust-Oleum brand. But we didn't even want to do a lot of research on the brand, on the specific spray paints. We just kind of wanted this to be raw and fun and just, you know, like we said, an experiment for you guys to see. So the theme that we're going to be testing out today is the artwork from Kanye's graduation album. It obviously is some pretty iconic imagery, and we thought that really no matter how the pattern comes out once we do the spraying and the hydro dipping, we thought that the colors would be pretty recognizable, and we know that we're going to end up throwing the Kanye bear graphic on top. So this is how we would probably utilize something like hydro dipping, treating it as kind of like a background for us to then place some future graphics on top of. So let's go ahead and head outside. But before we do that, you're just going to want to go ahead and mask off any areas where you don't want the paint to go. So we also picked up one of these bins from Home Depot that you could buy at any hardware store, and we're just going to go ahead, fill it up with some water. I don't really think that the temperature of the water matters too much, but we're just kind of using like a room temperature. And now we're just going to go ahead and start laying down some of our spray paints directly on top of the water. What I'm trying to do with the paint here is spray each color kind of in the center of where the last color was, and trying to get that marbling out spreading effect of all the different paints. Now we're ready to grab our base shoe, and I'm going to find the area where I really like the paint pattern, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to dip the shoe in a pretty fast diagonal fashion. Oh dude, and you can tell it's not on there. And as you can see, that came out absolutely nowhere near how we expected or hoped it would. So as someone who's been customizing for about 8 years now, I think that a lot of people may think that I have kind of all the answers to a lot of this stuff. And even when it comes to hydro dipping, we get a lot of questions on it. But it's something that I've never done, so I knew it was something that I literally had to kind of wet my feet with and just really experiment and see what we come up with. So it would have been really easy to take this experiment as a total fail, but I didn't want to give up on this. I wanted to go ahead, give it another shot. So I went back, watched some videos of other people who did this, and I kind of wanted to see what I potentially did wrong. So one of the first things that I wanted to try differently our second time around was spraying multiple cans at the same time, taking both of my hands and spraying both of the cans directly into a center point in the bucket. And I think that this creates for some of that more marbling effect and the pattern just going in some cool, unique ways. Rather than my first time around, I was doing it color by color, and I think that it was taking me a little bit too long to place the new colors on top of each other, and we just weren't getting that cool marbling effect that I think you're trying for with hydro dipping. I also think that I overall dipped the shoe a little bit too fast, so the second time around I wanted to really take it nice and slow and try to really let that pattern just fall intact onto the canvas. So as you can see, these look much better the second go around. So where I really think that I went wrong the first time was not spraying quick enough with multiple colors, and dipping the shoe a little bit too fast. So if you are going to experiment with this yourself, I think those are some things that you can learn from. So to complete this pair, I'm going to go ahead and paint the back half of the shoe the way I would any other canvas shoe, so utilizing some Angelus along with some Too Soft, and then we're going to be throwing the Kanye Bear graphic across the toe boxes of these. So now we're going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a look at how these came out. So something that we really wanted to show within this video was a wear test of these shoes. This is something that I was super curious about because I thought that the kind of film that's created with hydro dipping that goes onto the shoes is a little bit thick. Obviously you're laying down a lot of spray paint into this bucket, so I was really curious how these would feel, how these would hold up through, some wear tests. What's the durability like of these? So we went ahead, had my fiance Brittany throw these on and just kind of wear them for a day, and we were super curious how these would come out. So we really wanted to capture some of the natural bends and natural movements that occur when you're actually wearing a pair of shoes that I don't think you can really test when you're just simply bending it or folding it certain ways. There's a lot of force that goes into your shoes from your feet bending in certain ways and creasing along the toes. So we really wanted to test this and see how these hold up. And I'm actually pretty impressed. I was highly skeptical of how these would hold up, but after a day's worth of use, they actually held up really well. After 1 day or so, you're really going to be able to tell if this is a not wearable, not durable product or not. You're going to be able to tell right away because paint cracking is going to occur right away from all that forcing along those natural crease lines of the shoe. And these held up pretty well. Like I said, I'm super impressed. I really didn't expect this to happen. So overall, the hydro dipping I would call it a success. It was an interesting experiment. It's something that I want to play with a whole lot more before I would ever, utilize it and sell it to clients or anything like that. But this is pretty fun, and it's kind of something that anybody can do. And that's the experiment that we wanted to conduct today. Just go to the store, grab some spray paints, throw it into a bucket, and see what you could come up with. So we definitely have to give a shout out to our fellow YouTuber Marco. He's doing some awesome hydro dipping here. He has a lot of videos on a lot of different shoes that have really blown up, and it's really cool to see. And if you're interested in some other people who are doing a really good job at hydro dipping the correct way, utilizing films and all that, you could check out somebody like Trey Customs on Instagram. He's doing a great job with some really cool shoes for sure. The first time that I had ever even heard about something like this was from Den Customs, probably back in like 2014. There was an event here in Chicago, and I saw that he had done, I think it was a LeBron 10 Elite with the 3-6 Mafia green skull t-shirt pattern across the shoes. And I remember asking Jake, how did you paint that? That doesn't even look real. What did you do? And he's like, well, to tell you the truth, I ended up using this thing called hydro dipping. And he first just started telling me about it, and it was kind of at the time just like, where is this even a thing? How did you even, fall into this? So I thought it was super interesting, and it's obviously becoming a lot more popular nowadays, so it's really cool to see. I think hydro dipping is something that is here to stay, and it's going to evolve. And as a customizer, you kind of got to always evolve with the times and the trends and stay up to date with everything. So this is something we definitely want to play with some more. So super excited to see where it goes. Thank you guys for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Go ahead and give it a like if you did. We'd greatly appreciate that. Make sure you're subscribed, and we will see you guys in that next video.